Our story begins with Lena, a cutie with no skills to start with, and her forever friend-zoned buddy, Light, who is thirsty for some combat-type skills to be a Sigma in his second life, which will begin today, as they'll both get their skills by eating fruits. Sadly, their dream of living an adventurous life together comes crashing down as Light is left with the pathetic skill of being a fruit farmer, or what others call a fruit master. He recalls that stupid day when he, Lena, and a few other insignificant characters were summoned and offered their skill fruits that would decide the course of the rest of their lives. The only and most important rule was that anyone can only eat one skill fruit, as eating more than one will result in a death by poison. Taking advantage of the lady's first cliche, Lena bites into a random fruit which makes her body glow like my skin after a hydrofacial, as she has acquired a super rare skill called the Sword Saint, making her one of the chosen ones destined to live the life of an adventurer, the life Light has always wanted. What he gets is a disappointment as big as my forehead, because he ends up being a fruit master, separated from Lena, who is forced to move to the holy city and pursue her life of adventure for the nation's sake. 3 months and tons of self-hate sessions later, Light sells his fruits for shabby prices and despises his sad life. If only he knew, AI would replace us all years later anyhow. Lena, on the other hand, has risen to S rank in record time and is everyone's hero, including Light's, who still trains in the woods to be her equal someday. One day, his embarrassing excuse of training in the forest is interrupted when Ayla, his roommate with no skills, brings him water. Ayla is a little orphan girl who has been sent by the village chief to live with Light for unknown reasons. Enjoying Ayla's child labor in the form of dinner, Light shows her the boxes of skill fruits he's grown and kept separately for selling later. Soon enough, he gets his lesson for making a child cook his dinner, as Ayla confesses that she added some skill fruits to the stew they're eating right now. Instead of dying miserably, Light mysteriously acquires the skill of a sword god, which means resistance to magic and great power when wielding a sword. Similarly, Ayla develops an appraisal skill which tells her that Light's fruit master skill made him immune to all fruits poison, proving the Holy Sister's warnings wrong. Suck it, sister. Both of them arrive at the Holy City, where Ayla drools over some pizzas like every American ever, before they go to the guild where adventurers can get jobs like bounty hunting monsters and make that dough. Bumping into an A-grade dirtbag called Gene and blocking his attack with a sword, Light gets a glimpse of his true power and breezes through his first adventure of defeating a slime monster. But Gene's getting his karma, as he and his friends unexpectedly face an ogre as ugly as my ex and practically wet their pants at the sight of him. Like true cowards, they ditch the battlefield after leading the ogre to Light, who uses a full-powered demon slash move to slice the ogre in half, like a perfect little sandwich. While he's still bathing in the glory of his recent victory, Light witnesses the arrival of the rank S party at the guild and immediately calls out to Lena, who's apparently as desired as Sydney Sweeney now. But like a stone-cold heartbreaker, she refuses to recognize him. The rank S sacred party, led by Grouse, who has the Godspeed skill, calls the shots at the guild, as they have some dank guys like Eric, the Strong Arm, Serum, the Raging Flame, and Lena, the Sword Saint for the streets, to forget his humiliation at the guild. Light devours pizza like me on cheat day when Lena pays him a secret visit and hears all about how he ended up at the guild, making us feel bad for misjudging her earlier. She warns Light to steer clear of the sacred party, hiding the fact that they're actually a bunch of self-serving pricks who didn't even bother to put out a fire they set to kill a monster, resulting in major losses for some poor farmers. What's worse is that they're enabled by the biggest pick-me ever, the Holy Sister, who only cares about how much glory and fame they earn through their quests. Light senses Lena's discontent despite her silence and offers her to join his and Ayla's adventure team, as if he hadn't faced enough rejection for the day. Playing hard to get as always, Lena declines and leaves with tears in her eyes. Back at the guild, Light earns his first bag of 10k, still unable to ignore his concern for Lena. Ayla points his attention towards Grouse, who's somewhat of a playboy, as he's surrounded by hotties who want to know all about the monsters he's slain so far. But his self-obsessed stories are interrupted by the farmer's complaints, as Sacred has been causing a lot of collateral damage in their fights lately. To annoy him even more, Light commands him to let Lena leave the party because, of course, the damsel in distress needs to be saved, only to be put back in his place as he's kicked out of the exclusive lounge reserved for the sacred party. Later on, he's warned by Gene's friends to stay out of Grouse's way, as that would make him Holy Sister's target, who can easily blacklist him from being an adventurer. Meanwhile, Lena has had enough of the sacred party's insufferable nature and declares that she wants to leave, but Grouse forces her to stay with them after slapping her pretty little face. This guy must be compensating for something with his huge ego. However, Light is also someone who just can't give up, which is why he offers Lena to join his team again during Sacred's public appearance, putting Grouse in a vulnerable position to accept his challenge of a duel. With Lena's freedom and his position in the Adventurers Guild on the line, Light starts with a defense approach, struggling to match Grouse's insane speed. Even after Grouse breaks Light's sword, he doesn't give up and uses a random deck brush as his weapon, putting more trust in his instincts this time, now that he's got Lena on his side. In a very predictable turn of events, the underdog takes the win, as Light strikes Grouse with such might that it results in a proper KO, establishing Light as a force to be reckoned with. Simping for the new hero in town, Lena accommodates Light and Ayla in her own house in the Holy City, but the peace only lasts a week as Holy Sister starts getting in their way by making sure that they only get low-paying odd jobs. Now that she doesn't have a misogynist towering over her all the time, Lena optimistically accepts all the odd jobs and enjoys the fulfillment she gets from truly helping people, even though her pockets are starting to feel lighter than ever before. Being the W guy that he is, Light distracts them by making an invocation, which is a custom for any new party of adventurers, and names their party Luxeria, after which they all make their respective oaths. Light promising to be a top G in the history of adventurers, Lena aiming to help as many people as possible, and Ayla deciding to binge eat as many pizzas as she can find in the Holy City. Little do they know that Holy Sister, hands down the most corrupt nun we've seen so far, is plotting against them to assign them a rank S job so that she can get rid of Light and Ayla once and for all, and also see if a priori, which means the one who goes ahead, can change the future or not. The next morning, Luxeria is assigned a major job by the guild, so convenient, where they have to go to the North Montez Valley region, a place no adventurer has ever returned from. Hearing about the missing adventurers at the guild's reception desk, Lena recognizes a few of them as they used to mentor her in her novice era, and learns that all the missing people went to the former Count's castle. Apparently, this Dracula knockoff used to be an adventurer 30 years ago, but the jury is still out on what skill he possessed. Now Luxeria, a bunch of newbies that only we know are underrated, are supposed to find the missing adventurers and the reason behind their disappearances. Obviously, Lena is smart enough to suspect this as dangerous for them, but Light, the starry-eyed idiot, has always dreamt about visiting the Valley region, and Ayla, the poster child of an ED, wants pizzas from the reward money, so they foolishly accept the guild's assignment. Soon enough, they learn the lesson of not bringing a literal child on a death mission, as Ayla almost causes them to fall off a cliff, making Light resort to his Gale Flash move, which allows them to land safely. But their relief lasts shorter than a virgin as Luxeria finds itself surrounded by the undead, who are none other than the missing adventurers who have somehow turned into zombies. Finally bringing herself to some use, Ayla appraises them and informs Light and Lena that one bite from any of these have-been adventurers has the potential of turning them into a zombie. She can also detect all of them still having their skills, which completely throws Light off as he never considered the possibility of killing his fellow adventurers who once used to be human. Looking like he's trying to solve a really difficult math problem, Light stands confused as he's trying to convince himself to fight with these morally gray creatures when one of the zombies charges towards him, causing Lena to break the stereotype of being the helpless heroine and jump in to save Light's life, smoothly cutting down the zombie like a piece of steak. Being the slayer queen that she is, Lena assures Light he shouldn't feel guilty about killing someone who is already dead, and they would actually be doing these poor fellows a favor by setting their tormented souls free. They run into the castle to look for any survivors but come across a zombie rave party instead. As Lena butchers all zombies one by one, Light and Ayla just stand still and look pretty, silent fangirling over how she has mastered her sword saint skills. As always, Light's thoughts circle back to him, more specifically the fact that even though his sword god skill is more powerful than Lena's, he hasn't mastered it yet. Finally recovering from his extremely unhelpful monologue, Light jumps into the fight while Ayla stands unguarded, practically a sitting duck for a heavily armored zombie. Lucky for her, Lena comes through and slashes the zombie by attacking it in the gaps of its armors with impressive precision. Even though she plays it off cool and associates her power with years of practice, we all know by now that she's low-key gangsta. Returning to his hopeless little monologue, Light realizes that there is no room for error in this mission, as even the slightest mistake can cost Ayla her life. It also dawns on him that the missing adventurers were only 18 in number, but the zombies they fought were much more than that, which makes them even more curious about how an abandoned palace could be inhabited by such creatures out of nowhere. The group uses the stairs to make it to the second floor, where they catch a glimpse of the dead Count's portrait, which seems to be staring right into their souls, especially Lena's for obvious reasons. While Luxeria moves ahead, a creepy girl levitates and dances in the air like every girl on TikTok these days, humming a deadly tune. She's excited to see Light, whom she calls her guest of honor, cluelessly exploring the castle as he's the snack she plans to feast upon later. Wow, she must be a literal man-eater. Right on cue, several monsters jump out of Luxeria's blind spot and circle around them, making really calculated moves to prove that they are nowhere dumb as the idiot monsters downstairs. Once again, Ayla uses her appraisal skill to make the unsettling revelation that these monsters have been tamed by someone somehow, which makes us question why someone would want to keep such ugly pets. Lena explains that taming is the practice of controlling monsters, which is breaking news for naive little Light, but he adapts soon enough as he notices strings attached to the monsters leading down the hallway, the end of which is as dark as my eyeliner during my goth era. Ayla detects that the purpose of the threads is to transmit magic power, which means that someone evil, aka our Annabelle turned pop star, is literally pulling the strings to kill them. They reach the door that all strings lead to and push it open, ready for action. What they step into is a huge ballroom where our puppet master creepy girl named Dratina welcomes them, making a grand entrance as she gives herself obnoxious names like One Wing of the Black Swan and the Elite Force of Darkness. While the rest of us check out her smoking hot outfit, Isla informs Light and Lena that Dratina's skill is necromancy, which allows her to control corpses and spirit-type monsters and even use their skills as her own. Even after it's painfully clear that Dratina is the villain here, Light still assumes that she is an adventurer sent on a mission just like them and that they should work together to find any survivors. Ignoring his stupid assumption, Dratina declares that she is only here to kill Light the Fruit Master on someone's orders that she won't name. While Light and Lena are still trying to process this, Dratina bombards them with her corpse monsters as she wants this fight to be as entertaining as possible. This girl should really get a Netflix subscription instead. As if Dratina's wasn't twisted enough already, she sends the zombies of Lena's mentors to fight with her, who aren't only dear to her but possess really powerful skills too. Noticing Isla's way of assisting Light and Lena, Dratina targets the kid first and sends all her monsters towards Isla. Light jumps in to protect Ayla like an older brother, but Dratina has even more sinister intentions in mind as she controls her monsters to attack through a dance of death, making it difficult for Light to keep up with them and kill them all. Meanwhile, Lena must grow some and come to terms with the fact that she must kill her mentors in order to get out of this castle alive and in one piece. Nevertheless, she reminisces about how they were the first ones to reach out to her when she had just arrived at the Holy City, until she rose above them in rank only a few weeks later. But that still didn't affect their kindness, which is so not the case right now, as they are making one blow after another to annihilate her. Yet, she can't shake off their kind smiles out of her mind, which gives her the idea of cutting off their strings to stop them from being controlled. As soon as Lena severs the strings attached to her former mentors, they stand aimlessly like worthless zombies, while Lena still shows hesitation in killing them as she just doesn't get the concept of no strings attached relationships. Thankfully, she is able to see their apparitions rise above their lifeless bodies, assuring her that she's doing the right thing by setting them free, as their adventure has already ended and it's up to Lena now to carry on with their dream. In one swift motion, Lena kills them while bidding them farewell with tears in her eyes because at the end of the day, she's just a girl. On the other hand, Light defeats one monster after the other, but more of them keep showing up like uninvited people at a house party, which makes him question how Dratina got her hands on so many dead bodies, considering the fact that the castle has been empty for years and there are no graveyards or battlefields nearby. Just as Ayla is trying to answer this speculation, Dratina doubles down on them with her monsters, forcing Isla to climb on Light's back while he switches from defense to offense mode. Back in the Holy City, the Holy Sister smirks like a maniac when she predicts an upcoming shadow covering the moon, signaling that a lunar eclipse like that is something even an a priori like Light won't be able to defeat. At Dratina's disco of death, Light elevates himself by holding on to a chandelier with Isla hanging on his back so that she would be able to get a better view of the hordes of zombies coming at them. However, Light clearly misses Arm's day at the gym as it gets difficult for him to keep hanging on, so he urges Isla to use her appraisal skill to find out how the undead keep increasing in number. It turns out that one specific zombie possesses the summon skill and is using it to bring back up constantly, and it's none other than our good old Count himself. Sadly, they have to take one more L as they see a literal death god called the Soul Reaper, which is a monster that turns living people into the undead, and even this deadly guy is under Dratina's influence. Ayla alerts Light that even the slightest touch of the Soul Reaper's scythe or the sludge he's shooting around would instantly turn him into a zombie, which basically means that Light is cooked at this point. Accepting that she can't sneak around with her secret tricks anymore, Dratina lets loose and tells Light all about how it was the Count himself who had summoned the Soul Reaper, which brought on his doom, and a great hero was turned into the undead that day. Unable to wrap his innocent head around this, Light wonders why a legend like the Count would make such a mistake when Dratina shatters his worldview by explaining the concept of taboo skills to him. She goes on about how people with those skills are ostracized and hated just for possessing those skills, which is exactly the case with the Count. He was initially praised for being a hero with great power, but then everyone started overthinking like me on a winter night and assumed that he could very easily turn against the people and destroy them by summoning whatever monster he could have wanted. With time, they all isolated him and accused him of treason, driving him to his dark and gloomy castle, which can honestly look so much better with a fresh coat of paint or a splash of color. Even though the poor guy turned into a loner, he still wasn't left alone as parties of adventurers kept coming for him, and things eventually got so bad that he had to summon the Soul Reaper to keep out assassins and intruders. Now that story time with Dratina is over, she launches more attacks on Light, who acts like a typical MC, thinking about how his ability to eat an infinite amount of skill fruits and enjoy their power could also turn out to be a taboo skill, right in the middle of a full-fledged battle. Soon enough, he regains his focus and keeps Dratina busy in fighting him while Lena heroically comes through and slays the Soul Reaper. While emo girl Dratina is still processing the demise of her favorite pet monster, Light quickly impales the Count too, trying hard to not pay attention to his last words, hinting that one day he'll hate all skills too. But our girl Dratena is one persistent person, as she uses all her force to revive the Count, making him summon a creature that seems to have arrived from the deepest pits of hell. As the creature's dark presence erases all the undead, Dratena laughs and gloats like a total psycho. It seems like the creature, aka the Wicked Dragon, definitely didn't come here to play. Or maybe it was just as annoyed of Dratena as we are at this point, as it throws her away with its massive tail and roars at Luxeria, who honestly don't stand a chance because wicked dragons are beyond the expertise of even rank S adventurers and are resistant to slashing attacks. Stubbornly, Light still tries all his might but ends up with a broken sword and a deflated ego instead, making the dragon so angry that it spits fire at them. Even though our desperate people-pleaser Lena is fully ready to sacrifice herself just so that Light and Ayla could escape, Ayla presents Light with a skill fruit to acquire one more skill that might give him a fair chance against the dragon. Meanwhile, Dratena marvels at the sight of the dragon from the floor, as it's so powerful that even she can't control it. She commends her master, who shows up there in even more gothic clothing, confirming my suspicion that the both of them took a shopping trip to the Hot Topic store. Picking her up and quietly smirking and scoffing from under his mask, our mystery man disappears with Dratena into thin air, ninja style. Acting like a party pooper, Lena advises Light to not eat another skill fruit out of desperation, as there is no certain promise of getting a useful skill. In fact, the possibility of getting a taboo skill or one that interferes with his sword god skills could make matters worse for him, but we all know that Light suffers from a savior complex, which is why he eats the fruit nonetheless. What he gets is an absolute joke, as his skill makes him resistant to bugs, which is obviously of no help to them, so Lena keeps dodging the dragon's attacks and guarding them. Growing even more desperate, Light has his Ratatouille moment and bites into 2 skill fruits at the same time. This makes him quite sick, as he develops even more useless skills like Cat Charmer and Weapons Durability Boost, which actually could have been useful if he hadn't broken his sword already. As Lena gets slammed against the wall by the kinky dragon, Light bites into his last skill fruit and finally hits jackpot with the Sleep Pixie skill, which means that whoever inhales the scales released by Light's Sleep Pixie would immediately fall asleep. But the dragon is too high and far away for Light's Sleep Pixie to be able to reach him, which is why he pulls an unexpectedly brilliant move. Using the broken end of his sword as a durable blade, he activates his sword god skill to make the castle's roof collapse, enabling him to jump up the falling rumble and land directly on the dragon's face. Staring right into the winged beast's eyes, Light decides that it's nap time for the dragon and puts it to sleep. Spotting a mysterious piece of metal on the ground, Lena quickly scoops it up as a clue before they all make a run for it and barely escape out the castle that is nothing but a pile of debris now, with a horrifying dragon buried underneath it. Without taking any bathroom breaks, the Luxeria party travels all night and only stops at the Holy City's gates, relieved to see its warm lights. Like a true green flag, Light gives all the credit of their win to Ayla and Lena when all of a sudden he faints and falls off his horse. We get to see our mystery man again, who drops Dratena off at the Holy Sister's place, informing her that even though Light may be really powerful, he poses no threat to their party, the Black Swan. Now that they've returned from their most exhausting adventure ever, the Luxeria party enjoys their regular carefree life, with Ayla and Lena forcing Light to stay in bed, rest, and recover from the reckless act of eating 4 skill fruits together. After the lucky guy some delicious breakfast in bed, Ayla and Lena share that they have received a compulsory summons invitation from the guild, where they will be inquired in detail about their wicked dragon quest. Leaving Light behind to suffer from chronic FOMO, the girls arrive at the Adventurers Guild, where they're told to wait for 2 hours, apparently because the authorities who invited them are busy at the moment. The receptionist also conveys that Ayla won't be allowed into the conference room because she never officially registered as an adventurer. As Lena takes the form to register Ayla, she hears whispers of the adventurers around her, murmuring and gossiping about them like Indian aunties for letting a child be an adventurer. Feeling out of place, Ayla confesses that she doesn't feel included because she doesn't have any cool equipment like their peers. Feeling bad for the poor child, Lena proposes having a girls' day out where they can go shopping for equipment that Lena will buy for Ayla. Excited for their shopping spree, Ayla leads Lena to a sus shop called Ultra Luxury Goods, which actually looks like it sells counterfeit goods. Hesitant to be in such a shady shop, Lena tries to take Ayla away, but she's fixated on an ordinary-looking rock which is actually a rough diamond. Impressed by Ayla's skill of not only appraising people's skills but objects' characteristics too, Lena buys her the diamond and wraps it in a necklace that Ayla puts on. Diamonds really are a girl's best friend. Their next stop is a dressmaker's shop, where the shop owner tries out several outfits on Lena just to flex how hot she can look, after which she finally focuses on her cute little customer Ayla, who Lena encourages to be more confident in expressing. Obediently, Ayla screams out that she wants to look like a proper adventurer, and wear cool clothing like Lena. With all of Ayla's shopaholic fantasies fulfilled, the two girls step into the conference room at the guild. Meanwhile, Light is chilling at home, attempting to do a pathetic excuse of a sit-up when his own sleep pixie drags him to bed, urging him to sleep and rest to fully heal. He couldn't care less about rest right now, as he's envious of all the praise he thinks Lena and Ayla must be getting at the guild, which is why he decides to sneak out of the house and head to the guild too. Curious about who sent Athena to kill them, Lena quietly decides to not give up all the information they hold on the Wicked Dragon, as hanging out with jerks from the Sacred Party have taught her a thing or two about being cunning. She already doubts the higher authorities at the guild, who are the only ones who knew about Luxeria being at the castle and could have tipped Athena off. This is why she plans to casually name-drop Dratine and the Black Swan Party to observe the reactions of the 4 bureaus that come under the ultimate authority of the guildmaster. Lena and Ayla are introduced to the 4 heads of the Investigation, Security, Finance, and Inspection Bureau, which is represented by our most despised Holy Sister. Holy Sister! Acting as fake as a sorority girl. The Holy Sister expresses how glad she is to see Luxeria alive and safe, and applauds their performance at the life-threatening adventure. After learning that the Holy Sister is the most important member of the guild, Ayla acts like a curious cat and tries to appraise what her skill is, but nothing comes up in front of her for the first time ever. Leading the discussion like a girl boss, Lena directly questions the bureaus about Athena and the Black Swan Party, which causes Holy Sister to act clueless. No surprise there, while the head of investigation volunteers to check personal records to track the woman who is powerful enough to summon a wicked dragon. The head of finance, who honestly gives soulless corporate guy energy, points out that the approval of all 4 heads is required to access the guild's archives, making Lena upset. Holy Sister cleverly dodges the question and changes the topic by bringing up the current whereabouts of the Wicked Dragon. The head of investigation adds that the Wicked Dragon is no longer under the castle now, and only a piece of its body could be used to track its location by following its magic trail. Playing her ace card, Lena shows them the metal piece, which Ayla's appraisal skill reveals to be the Dragon Scale, making the Holy Sister soil her pants out of discomfort because she's clearly up to something. In a stroke of brilliance, Lena agrees to hand over the scale on the condition that she'll be allowed access to all records related to Athena, which all heads agree to, as the Holy Sister is already smug that Lena will find nothing on Athena. Too bad for the Holy Sister. The first thing that the investigation head lands on is that Athena acquired her necromancy skill under the command of the Holy Sister, proving that she lied earlier about not knowing Athena. Despite being caught in 4K, Holy Sister acts dumb, explaining that she guides thousands of people to their skills every year, which is why she doesn't remember all of them. On that note, she acts like a petty ex-wife and informs Lena that due to Light unlawfully poaching Lena from Grouse through an act of violence, the Luxeria party is getting kicked out of the guild. As the bomb drops, our king of bad timing, Light, enters the room, ready to accept all the praise for slaying a literal dragon. After reading the room and realizing that they're being removed from the guild, he still stands tall with his party until his eyes meet the Holy Sisters. What could have been a meet-cute looks like an interesting interaction as they both exchange some strange energy from that eye contact, leaving them both a bit unsettled afterwards. For some mysterious reason, the Holy Sister changes her decision and grants Luxeria a chance to redeem themselves by taking on a rank S monster hunting job. While Lena voices that this offer is too good to be true, Light is a fool for an ego boost and the coveted spot of being a rank S adventurer, which is why he blindly agrees to it, knowing that the only way of dealing with big bad wolves like the Holy Sister is to tackle them head on. Later on, Lena repeats her concern that this could be a trap, which is why they mustn't let their guards down, when Ayla also shares that her appraisal didn't work on the Holy Sister. As if they weren't so cooked already, the head of finance charges Light a fine of 5,000 gold for breaking the sword he loaned from the guild, which will be deducted from his next payment. The reception also refuses to loan him another sword, as he is already broken 2, which is why it's going to take him some time to get a new sword made from a blacksmith, one that would suit his potential as sword god. Utilizing the days before they leave for their next battle, Lena goes on a side quest to Athena, where Athena is known to acquire her skill of necromancy. Or maybe she just needs a break from her ever-so-needy party members. In search of a new weapon, Ayla and Light go to the tradesman's district, where most blacksmiths send them away because they don't want to get on the Holy Sister's bad side by selling to someone who stood against her. When Light gets super annoying, one of the blacksmiths shows him the way to Bolst's workshop in the west, run by someone named Bolst, who is a legendary weapon maker but has been facing trouble recently. But trouble seems to follow our MC, as Light and Ayla watch a girl getting chased by 3 men with Arnold Schwarzenegger physique, until they corner her in an alley. The supposed leader of these scoundrels is about to punch the girl in the face when Light intervenes, blocking the fist that would have left the girl's pretty face with a nasty bruise. After teaching the violent guys a lesson, Light checks up on the girl, who introduces herself as Monica, instantly adores Ayla for her cuteness, and invites them back to her place for tea to properly thank them. Coincidentally, she is Monica Bolst, the legendary blacksmith they've been looking for all along, but she seems pretty broke for someone so epic as she desperately tries to sell them household items and farming equipment. After examining Light's hand and learning about his fruit farming, she makes him a pair of harvesting shears using her super forge skill that allows her to give a metal any property she wants after striking it with a hammer. Her thank you gift not only fits in Light's hand perfectly, but can also cut anything without applying much force. If only I could use it to cut off ties with some toxic relatives. Impressed with her flawless craft, Light pleads to her to make him one-of-a-kind sword, but she woefully declines, saying that she hates making swords, unlike the other Bolst workshop across the street that specializes in making weapons. She takes Light and Ayla to her dad, a stern and tall man who makes and delivers swords to shady merchants, which is something Monica deeply resents. After us getting a front row seat to Monica's daddy issues, she leaves her dad's shop in disappointment, even though the workers want her to stay as only she can meet the demand for bulky orders. After getting turned down by the super busy Mr. Bolst, Light is about to leave when Bolst's apprentice Kane approaches him as his first fan. He spills all the tea on how Monica's grandmother was killed in a raid by a weapon Monica had crafted herself, after which she vowed to never make swords again. Light is still trying to get more deets when a pair of Gordon Ramsay-level rude merchants approach them. The more arrogant one, named Zamdo, has brought a new contract for Mr. Bolst, increasing their order even despite Kane's protest that they can't handle so much work in such a short amount of time. Now we see why Bolst has been such an evil father so far. The merchants are after Monica's skill and plan to use Zamdo's powerful skill to force her to make weapons for them, but Bolst can't tolerate it, which is why he keeps accepting their unfair orders and maintains their supply, just so that they would keep their filthy hands off of Monica. That night, Light and Ayla take Monica out for dinner, which is really just Ayla's excuse to have tons of pizza, while Holy Sister summons Zando to tell him that she'll need many more weapons. Together, they plot to bring harm to Light without killing him, and Holy Sister promises to send a spy to deal with the Security Bureau's interference. Like typical, non-creative villains, they use the nice girl as bait to lure in the hero, which is why Zando gets Monica kidnapped and leaves a note that Light should come to the underground arena alone and get her. The hot-headed Bolst, clad in weapons, is about to rescue his daughter on his own when Kane stops him because the underground arena is Zamdo's stronghold. Entrusting him with Ayla's safety, Light heads to the underground arena alone because this is his battle to fight. With Monica being chained up in the arena for all the wrong reasons, the merchants unleash a bloodthirsty, raging Taurus monster on Light, but he's in no mood to fight today, so he simply uses his sleep pixie to send the merchants and their monster into deep slumber. Once he safely returns Monica to Mr. Bolst, Light acts humble even though the Bolst father-daughter are really grateful for his kindness. Determined to never do business again with Zamdo and his fellow merchants, Mr. Bolst insists that he still won't forgo making weapons because he can't tolerate being a broke blacksmith like his daughter, whose dignity also means that she'll die with no pennies to her name. When Monica starts yapping about her principles, she's sent back to her room to stay the night, while Mr. Bolst offers Light to spend the night at his house as a way of thanking him. Late at night, Monica and Light run into each other at the balcony while everyone else is asleep, and Monica shows him the first dagger she made as a kid. Light really seems to be making the most of Lena's absence. Talking to her shows Light how much she respects and admires her father, but she still won't budge into making weapons that later go out into the world and can be used to take lives. She wants to know if he's ever killed someone with his sword, so Light brings up how he initially hesitated in killing the zombies, but went on to do so for Ayla's protection. Even though she's still confused about her morals, Monica supports Light's pursuit of his dreams as he continues to do good with his sword. The night doesn't seem to be going so pleasant for Zamdo's henchman though, as he wakes up to find himself tied in Monica's place by a furious Zamdo who was really looking forward to a prize or at least praise from the Holy Sister in exchange for Light. To manipulate his henchman named Doug, Zamdo claims that he was tried here by Light and instigates him against Light even more, because this time, Zamdo intends to crush Light with his own two hands. The next morning, Zamdo immobilizes Mr. Bolst and his workers through his thundercharge skill that allows him to conduct electricity like a live wire and break into the workshop to gain Light's attention. Light and Zamdo stand across each other on the street outside the workshop. Zamdo easily dodges Light's sleep attack by building a lightning armor around himself and starts to destroy the workshop just like how Light demolished his ego last night. Pinning his Bolst manufactured sword beneath his foot to insult the workshop workers, Zamdo gives Light and Monica the chance to surrender themselves so that he wouldn't have to destroy the workshop in the process of capturing them. But Mr. Goody Two-Shoes Light is confident that he can capture Zamdo and turn him over to the Security Bureau even though all he has is a sword as broken as my trust in humanity. Quickly picking up the sword Zamdo threw away earlier, Light launches an attack on Zamdo only to get the shock of his lifetime, not once but twice. Zamdo gloats notes that he could have simply paralyzed Light if he wanted to, but he wants Light to feel the pain of every blow like a true sadist. To stop Xando's reenactment of 50 Shades of Grey by slowly torturing Light, Monica uses her skill to make a pancake maker magnetic and gives it to Light so that he can use it to catch the metal balls that are delivering him the shocks during the fight. This doesn't work out in their favor as the metal pan conducts electricity, causing Light to drop it, setting the balls free to come at him again. Watching Light in pain in the state of his chipped sword puts Monica in the dilemma of whether she should make Light the strong sword he needs so desperately. Guess she'll change her rules for a man she met yesterday, but not for her own dad. Hauled back by the flashback of her grandmother's coffin, Monica decides against it when Light orders her to take Isla and run as he's going to bear with Xando's attacks until the security bureau gets here to arrest him. Spoiler alert. Light, they're not coming because the system is rigged against you, but seeing that Light is about to become a martyr for her workshop, Monica finally grows a pair and runs inside to put her skill to good use. Until then, Xando has formed a sword called Lamina out of lightning, which puts Light's sword god to shame, making Light silently admit that Xando is the strongest person he's fought with so far. While Light gets the worst beatdown of his lifetime, Lena arrives at Athena with many other people who've come there for the Athena Fairy Festival. On the other hand, Monica distracts the men guarding the workshop's doors so that Ayla can sneak in and free Mr. Bolst and his workers with the harvesting shears Monica gifted them earlier. Wrong move, because when Monica comes to the workshop, she finds Doug holding Ayla hostage to blackmail Monica into complying. Not getting overly emotional like Light or Lena would have behaved, Monica smartly throws a flashstone in Doug's face to stun him so that Mr. Bolst and his men can tackle him sumo wrestler style. As Monica wastes more precious time getting emotional about a sword after so long, the rest of the blacksmiths barricade the workshop to stop the ruthless merchants from entering. Once she finally forges a sword that radiates power and dominance over evil, she earns her father's respect for standing with the good when it matters. Once they break out of the workshop, they find Light passed out like a high school girl on a hot summer day. When Monica throws him the sword she made especially for him, he musters up his courage and gets back on his feet with newfound spirit. He's not overconfident though, which is why he asks Ayla to throw him a skill fruit, which unfortunately lands in Xando's hand. Unaware of Light's immunity loophole, Xando stuffs Light's mouth with the skill fruit to suffocate or poison him, mistakenly digging his own grave. Upon taking a bite, Light acquires the torch flame skill, which allows him to play with fire and be insanely hot, literally. This gives Xando a clear idea of why the Holy Sister is so invested in capturing Light since the beginning. Defying her orders to keep him alive, Xando gives it his all and goes Super Saiyan to launch his final and most powerful attack, while Light also lights himself on fire, trying saying that 10 times, super quick, to reach his maximum potential. As their power collides, a huge blast occurs, exhausting Xando to the extent of getting knocked down while Light stands tall in victorious glory, only for this sword to break seconds later too. Monica promises to make him another sword as he has single-handedly healed her trauma by using a sword to protect her home and family. Showing off his masculinity, Light gives Doug and the other henchmen a death stare to scare them off when the head of security gets there and arrests the merchants. About time, mister. As Light lies down to rest, Ayla receives a message from Lena informing that her excursion is taking longer than expected, while Monica discovers that there's another woman in Light's life, a gorgeous sword saint focused on tracking down Dratina. Lena holds back from the festival's fun, fully prepared to encounter an assassin that the Holy Sister could have sent after her. Until that happens, she asks around locals, but the mention of Dratina or her family name gets people grimacing or going non-verbal as if she's Voldemort. Feeling eyes on her, Lena notices a hooded guy who has been trailing her. She follows into an alley where he vanishes, and I'm honestly surprised that even pretty girls get ghosted like this. He reappears right behind her like my ex 3 weeks after the breakup, and they're about to go into battle when the head of investigation makes a cameo. The hooded guy is revealed to be her subordinate Yuan, who's also here to look for Dratina and deal with the dragon situation because we don't want this turning into Game of Thrones. Knowing that she's reached a dead end, Lena insists on joining Yuan and is allowed to tag along on the condition that she won't question their methods of gathering information. This comes handy when Lena is led to a secret meeting with an informant who shares that Dratina is the daughter of Athena's prestigious family who were ruined because of that corpse-loving brat. As a 6-year-old who loved dancing, Dratina acquired her skill at a young age only for her father to suffer great financial loss and her mother to die soon afterwards. With rumors brewing about their family being cursed, Dratina's father blamed her taboo skill, after which he disowned and exiled her. All the bad girls turn out to have idiots for fathers somehow. Raised and supported by Holy Sister, Dratina is back in the theater district of Athena. Preparing for the Dance of Fairies, she sure prioritizes her passion. As Dratina leaves her mansion to perfect her performance, she ignores her half-healed injuries because the Holy Sister nominated her to be a dancer for the sacred ritual that takes place on the last day of the festival. As Lena, Yuan, and Head of Investigation sneak into rehearsals as artists, Lena almost sympathizes with Dratina after witnessing some mean girls gossiping about her taboo skill. When they spot Dratina dancing gracefully, Head of Investigation captures her immediately and decides to take her back to the Holy City to use magic tracing on her. As Dratina begs for her to be allowed to perform the dance and fulfill her lifelong dream, Lena caves in like a weakling, freeing Dratina and escaping with her. Oh! While looking for girls gone wild, the Head of Investigation notices strange activity around the ancient fairy stone in Athena as a troublesome Mr. Bard narrates to people the story of an ancient creature from the fairy world trapped in the fairy stone to protect the people of Earth and maintain peace. Not caring about being a pain in the butt for Investigation Bureau, Dratina takes Lena to one of her family's rundown properties where they can lay low for 2 days until Dratina can perform in the Dance of the Fairies, which is performed to soothe the creature underneath the fairy stone. Before switching sides completely and writing her own death sentence by favoring an enemy, Lena questions Dratina about her connection with the Holy Sister and inquires the reason why she tried to kill Luxeria members at the Count's castle. Feeling obliged to answer Lena because she owes her, Dratina makes it clear that she has no interest in being Lena's pity pet or act of charity because she's tougher than that. As Dratina is shunned by the townspeople right in front of Lena, chaos ensues all of a sudden when a horde of monsters appear to wreak havoc on the people. As the townspeople get off their high horse of righteousness and run for their lives like losers, Lena kills a monster while Dratina loses her marbles because the fairy stone's purifying power has always kept monsters at bay, which is so not the case right now as groups of monsters are roaming around freely in the once peaceful Athena. Watching Dratina protect their town, the locals finally feel a hint of shame for their Regina George behavior, while Lena notices a mystic creature that looks like a baby unicorn standing against the monsters. After rescuing the unnamed creature, the girls notice a black mist engulfing the sky, which lets out a gigantic and super ugly monster. Yuan steps up this time and kills the monster before it can cause any real harm. The girls walk up to him and the Head of Investigation, as all townspeople are instructed to take refuge in the city's largest cathedral. Wasting no time in hearing the girls whining, the Head of Investigation takes them on a gondola ride to reach the center of the lake, as this is where the fairy stone is, where all the dark mist is gathering. As a barrier of protective light surrounds and protects the cathedral and the people inside it, Mr. Bard holds onto his guitar and smiles ominously, excited to start the music, which will probably be the last tune heard by the oversmart people heading to the lake right now. Oblivious to the presence of this wannabe Ozzy Osbourne, Lena and the others notice how the fairy stone's ability of repelling monsters has been changed to make it attract monsters instead, which is why all the trouble's been happening lately. As Head of Investigation sees this, the only way to solve this problem is to destroy the fairy stone, but Dratina argues with her over this, unknowingly expressing her loyalty and concern for the very town that has wronged her. To play it off as she's unbothered, Dratina mentions that her dance will be no good without the fairy stone, which is why she wants to prevent its destruction. As they're all bickering among themselves, Mr. Bard makes his grand entrance on a floating dark cloud, revealing that he's the culprit behind all this. He calls himself the light of the party, when the only party he'll fit in at is my little nephew's birthday costume party. While he's still delivering his monologue, Lena steals his screen time by going ballistic on him with her sword, only to uncover his real identity that he'd been hiding under the disguise of a mischievous musician. The evil man finally comes clean as Argos, a disciple with a mission to reclaim Athena and eliminate humans as they're the inferior species. As he calls many demons, Dratina gathers dead monsters through her necromancy to control and ride a beast that flies, while Yuan tries to hold back as many monsters as he can while staying afloat on their tiny gondola. As the mystic creature jumps from her lap and summons crystal platforms to walk up to the fairy stone, Lena recognizes it as the protector from the fairy realm and uses her chance to walk up to the fairy stone while the Head of Investigation takes on Argos. Furious at Argos for thinking of her as a brainiac chick, she uses secret techniques that only she's aware of to put the little mansplainer in his place. Scared that she might be making a huge mistake by destroying the town's protective force, Lena misses Light as he would have found a way out of this mess. But she knows that she isn't as positive as him, which is why she strikes and breaks the fairy stone with certainty. Looks like the Head of Investigation didn't study enough for this test, as her order of destroying the fairy stone leads to the summoning of the most dangerous monsters of them all, a wicked dragon, which looks different than the one Luxeria dealt with before. Knowing that she needs all hands on board for this final boss fight, Lena enlists Dratina's help to protect Athena because she learned from Light that there's strength in numbers. As the people of Athena pray for their savior like sitting ducks, the Head of Investigation overexerts herself by using secret magic even though Argos stays nonchalant as ever. Meanwhile, Dratina immobilizes the dragon for a few seconds, giving Lena enough time to slash the dragon's neck as it isn't protected by scales. But it fails as miserably as me when it comes to relationships, because the dragon rots away everything around it by a decay power and turns into an even more dreadful form. It's revealed that Argos has possessed the dragon and resurrected it, which is why he must be taken down to defeat the dragon. Even though she looks like a washed-up dog at this point due to taking so many blows, Lena directly challenges Argos and steps into the fire of the dragon when the mystic creature supports her and transports her to the memory of the Fairy King, taking an oath to forever protect this land against evil. With divine light surrounding her and powering her sword, Lena evolves by the blessing of the fairies, growing wings and looking like a much hotter version of Tinkerbell. In the blink of an eye, she reaches Argos and hits him across the face with the flat of her blade. Fed up with his tantrums, she uses the La Purette move to purify the air of Athena and the body of the dragon, bringing Argos down to his knees and ordering him to tell everything about who sent him here and why. Recognizing that Lena once used to work under Holy Sister, Argos starts to doubt the evil nun even though they've been in cahoots until now. Feeling used by the sister, Argos disappears without giving Lena any information, accidentally leaving behind a talisman. Once Lena and Dratina are magically healed and appreciated by the head for their bravery, Dratina crushes her beef with Lena and the others and befriends them. As the people of Athena rejoice at their salvation, the head of investigation briefs the others on how Argos used a talisman to reverse the purifying effect of the fairy stone. As everyone is doubting Lena's miracle, the Fairy King himself appears, only to be bombarded by questions as the head of investigation starts acting like a nosy journalist. Getting to the point, the Fairy King brings up Sirendoros, the unicorn sealed within the fairy stone who shared his power with Lena through the baby unicorn he sent as a double of himself. Thanking all of them for saving Athena, the Fairy King leaves with Sirendoros as his purpose of restoring life in Athena has been fulfilled. Before his departure, Lena and Dratina perform the Dance of the Fairies for Sirendoros one last time, as spending 1,000 years in solitude does guarantee a performance from such beautiful girls. As Lena steps aside to give Dratina her solo, the redeemed villainess dances all her worries away, earning the affection and respect of the townspeople who had always despised her. For her service to Athena, the Fairy King bestows Lena Sirendoros' double, who will accompany Lena on her adventures and fight alongside her as her wings and purifying sword. Like a true teacher's pet, Lena names the double siren instead of coming up with a unique name for her new sidekick. By the time the Fairy King disappears, Lena faints, as she's done enough for the day. When she wakes up the next day, they learn that the Holy Sister has already supplied Athena a bunch of new weapons through Zamdu, now that they'll need to defend themselves in the absence of the Fairy Stone. Even though Dratina hopelessly tries to defend the Holy Sister because she still suffers from Stockholm Syndrome, the head of investigation reveals that the sister's skill is precognition, meaning that she can predict the future. This suggests that she could have caused or plotted all the disasters Lena and Dratina have encountered so far. Catching on to the sister's scheming, the head of investigation takes Lena and Dratina under her protection and decides to rest for a few days before they leave for their next stop of snooping around in the Holy Sister's business. Making it clear that she can't betray the Holy Sister, Dratina still chooses to play along because she has begun to question her insincere mentor. Meanwhile, Lena wishes to use her spare time to restore Athena and contact other members of Luxeria, because long-distance relationships have a low success rate in general. Reaching Light, who has trained wholeheartedly since his fight with Zamdo to strengthen himself and master all his skills, assures Lena that he and Ayla can handle the S rank assigned to them and that she should focus on her task without any worries. Wow, this guy really is such a green flag. While the Holy Sister focuses on getting rid of Light through the S rank job she is assigned to Luxeria, she plans to cause trouble in a place called the Fremito Woods, where Light will be headed soon. As her sidekick Noah casually mentions her intentions to disrupt the Fates' plan and messing with the a priori, the Holy Sister quickly reinforces that he shouldn't even say such things out loud in case someone might hear them. On the other hand, Monica finally finishes making the perfect sword for Light and names the weapon Homura, which instantly emits greatness as soon as Light wields it as the sword god. As Light and Ayla prepare to depart after bidding farewell to everyone and thanking the Bolst family and workers for their hospitality, Monica acts like a clingy ex-girlfriend and walks alongside them as if they won't notice the addition of a new member to their team. Upon Light and Ayla's confrontation, Monica sheepishly admits that she has recognized her purpose to make the ultimate sword for Light, but in order to do that perfectly, she needs to keep observing him during his fights and should get to know him more closely so that she can keep adapting and improving her swords to suit him even more throughout his different battles. It is no surprise to us that Light and Ayla thrive on validation from others, so they obviously have no issue in letting her join them, and even Monica's old school dad turns into a softie when it comes to leaving his daughter under the care of a hero like Light, which is why he also supports this and agrees with Monica's decision for once. As Light, Ayla, and Monica prepare for the S-rank job assigned to them, Light looks forward to being an adventurer whose name will go down in history as a legend. On his upcoming adventure, he is set to join forces with a solo adventurer from the Inspection Bureau called Sine Gialdol, that low-key sounds like a stripper name, who is ordered to accompany Luxeria for their S-rank job in Lena's absence.